Hi guys, it's Chris here from the Fulcrum Kitchen down here in South Yorkshire. Now today I'm going to be talking about store cupboard ingredients, and these are just a few of the things that I like to have in my cupboards, whether I'm at home, whether I'm working in a restaurant, whether I'm working down here in the kitchen teaching. So I'm just going to talk you through a few of the essentials that I like to keep, and I'm going to start just by talking about oils. So there's a few oils that I use in the kitchen. The first one we've got here is olive oil. Now I use this for general cooking. So for example, if I was making a soup to start the base off, I'd use olive oil. Also, if I was doing something like, for example, I don't know, maybe a bolognese or something like that, again, I'd go for olive oil. So it's just general cooking, really. Now the second oil that we have is extra virgin olive oil. Now this stuff's great. And I use this just for salads, making a lovely salad dressing really. It's too good for cooking, it's quite expensive as well. You don't need a lot of it, but you can make your own little dressings. We'll come on to that on another video further down the line. But yes, so just keep that for your salad dressings. Now the next one we've got is vegetable oil. And this is used in things like curries and stir fries, and the reason being is it has a higher burning point, so you can cook at a higher temperature with it. It's also neutral in flavour as well, so that's quite an essential oil to have. There's other oils available, walnut oil, groundnut oil. The thing I would say is if a recipe asks for groundnut oil, just be very careful, because obviously it's derivative of nuts and there's allergens involved there as well. So I would never have groundnut oil in the teaching kitchen, just in case the label was to come off the bottle, for example. So standard olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and veg oil. They're the three oils that I would use in the kitchen. So the next thing I want to talk about is stock cubes. Now, stock's great for seasoning. You can use it obviously in things like soups, etc. Again, you can put it into things like stews, casseroles. However, what you have to be mindful of is stock cubes often quite high in salt, so you can go for this low salt version as well. The other thing to bear in mind is things like allergens. So I only use Callow stock cubes. I'm not sponsored by them, but I only use these in the kitchen. And the reason being is I know that they're gluten-free, and I also know that they're lactose-free. So the beauty of that is I've already eliminated 2 possible allergens. So I use Callow. You can get chicken stock cubes, veg stock cubes, pork stock cubes, lamb stock cubes, fish stock cubes. But obviously use the correct stock cube for the correct job. But again, as I say, they're great for seasoning, but just be mindful of the salt content. Another thing is, of course, is you can make your own stock, and it's such an easy thing to do. And again, I'll post some videos further down the line how to make your own veg stock, for example. So the next thing I want to talk about is acidity, and much like salt and pepper, adding acid to a dish can really lift the flavours of the dish. Now, one of the ones I always have is red wine vinegar, and this can be used in a lot of things. I often use it in a salad dressing. It goes really well with tomatoes, so couple your extra virgin olive oil with some red wine vinegar, make a little jam jar dressing, add that to a tomato salad. The other thing I would add this to as well is I often add it to things like bologneses or cottage pies, anything with sort of red meat in, and it really is just a game changer. Even a little dash in a chilli as well can really lift the dish by just adding a little bit of acidity. Another one that I've also got is, because we're in Yorkshire, use Henderson's relish. Now again, with this one, you could use Worcestershire sauce as well, but a little drop of this into a bolognese again is just going to really lift the dish. So try and experiment a little bit with acidity. If you're making a dressing, for example, if I was going to dress a nice salmon salad, for example, that had been inspired with Asian flavours, so perhaps I've popped in a squeeze of lemon juice into the dressing, added some chilli, some ginger, and again, it's just going to really lift the dish. So a bit of acidity with a bit of oil, lovely little dressing. But again, experiment with it, get brave and try different combinations. So I like to do a lot of Asian cuisine when I'm cooking. I just find it's really fresh and fragrant, and often very healthy as well, because there's a lot of vegetables within it. So one of the things that you'll find in a recipe is it'll call for soy sauce, and you can get dark soy sauce and light soy sauce. What's the difference, I hear you ask? Well, I'm glad you've asked that question because it is quite a confusing question. When and where should you use it? Now, light soy sauce, you tend to find slightly saltier. It hasn't fermented for as long, and also it's quite reddish in colour, and it's also thinner. And what you tend to find is you would use this in things like chicken dishes, fish dishes, vegetable dishes as well. Coming on to the dark soy sauce, this is actually slightly thicker, it's darker, it's slightly sweeter, it's been fermented for a lot longer as well. And you would use this with red meat. So for example, if you were doing like, a beef and black bean, you might use the dark soy sauce as well. And what you'll often find is you'll find that there's a balance as well. So some people in recipes, you'll use a little bit of light soy sauce and you'll use a little bit of dark soy sauce. But again, just go with the recipe. Try and experiment, try the different flavours as well. Absolutely delicious. But again, please be careful because they do tend to be quite salty in nature. Now, soy sauce is basically made of 4 things: soybeans, salt, wheat, and water. Now, mentioning wheat there, you can think allergens, thinking soy as well, soybeans, allergens as well. You can actually get a gluten-free version as well, which is wheat-free. So keep an eye out on the market for that. But again, if you're cooking for other people in your communities, for example, or at home, friends and family, just be careful and mindful of any allergens. So talking about seasoning, guys, we often just think about salt and pepper. Now, with salt, you've got to be mindful because you shouldn't have any more than 6 grams of salt in your diet a day. Too much salt in your diet, it's not great for you. It can lead to things like high blood pressure. So where possible, we try and flavour food by using lovely fresh herbs or the amazing spices that are available to us. However, where called for, obviously the salt that we use is Malton sea salt. Now, this is made from evaporated seawater, and unlike your table salt, it's not as bitter tasting, and also it doesn't have any anti-caking agents in to stop it from clumping together. Now, there's loads of salts out there on the market: Malton sea salt, pink Himalayan sea salt, this, that and everything else. Salt is salt is salt. Whatever it is, it's still, salty. It's still not going to be great for you in large quantities. So where possible, just a little pinch, and get used to tasting your food as you go along as well. Because often you'll find when you've added spices and herbs, you don't need to add any extra salt. So coming on to pepper, I absolutely love pepper. I love its sort of subtle heat that you get from pepper. I love the aroma of it as well. And what I do is I actually grind my own down. So I'll buy the peppercorns and I'll use my little coffee bean blender, and I'll just give it a good grind, get it nice and fine. And you find that by grinding your own as well, it's a lot more fragrant, it's a lot more vivid, the taste as well. And again, I'll put this in all kinds of dishes, from when I'm doing a stir fry to making a casserole or a stew. I'll add a touch of pepper. I even put it in a little bit of dressing for salads and stuff as well. Now, a little tip for you as well: when you're grinding it down, because you're not going to get all the peppercorns really fine, if you give it a little shake, I'll just show you here, give it a little shake, all the peppercorns that haven't been ground will come to the top, and then you can just grind that down again, or pick them out, put them in on another grind on another day. But yes, salt and pepper, absolutely great, but again, everything in moderation, especially when it comes to salt. So now, coming on to spices, where do you start? There's just so many spices available, and each with their own delicious individual flavours, and combined together can just be an absolute explosion of flavour in the mouth. I'm just going to talk you through some of my favourite ones. Now, as I said, there's so many you can get, but these are a few that I would definitely have within my store cupboards. First up's medium curry powder. Now, this is a blend of sort of milder spices such as ground cumin, ground ginger, ground coriander, and I have this just for convenience when I want to make a quick curry rather than having to measure out separate spices. I add it to my beans as well. Fennel seeds is next. Now, fennel seeds are absolutely delicious, really sort of give a nice aniseed flavour, and you can grind these down in a pestle and mortar, add them to fish dishes and meat dishes as well. Really lends itself well to strong sort of sausages, like game sausages. Coriander seeds are next, and these have got a more earthy taste to the flowering part of the coriander plant, which is a bit more floral. Toast them again, grind them down, you get a really nice aroma. Next, I always have some dried chili flakes, which are basically just chilies that have been pounded down when they've been dried out. And again, this is going to add a sort of heat to dishes. The more you put on, the more sort of heat you're going to get from it. But I added to pasta dishes, I added to salads as well. Next, we're looking at cumin. So this comes from a flowering plant, and you can find it in seed or ground cumin formats. And again, it's used in curries or Middle Eastern cookery. And when you smell it, it really does evoke sort of the lovely curry flavours. And the next up is something I use a lot of. It's smoked paprika, and it's basically dried peppers that have been smoked. Obviously, you can get the normal paprika again, which is just dried peppers, but it's got a really lovely smoky taste. It's found in chorizo sausages. I add it to the cumin and actually make my own sort of fajita mixes. And next up is garam masala. Now, garam masala is another blended spice mix, but this is more pungent, and it tends to find, you know, you get more sort of punchy spices in there, like cloves, cardamom, cinnamon, so sort of stronger spices. So there you have it, guys. There's just a few of my store cupboard ingredients. I would always have these within my pantry, whether it be at home or whether in the teaching kitchens here at Fair Share Yorkshire. So from your oils and vinegars to your spices to your salt and pepper and your stock cubes. I hope it's given you some inspiration. Go out there and experiment. Go and get your store cupboard stocked up, and enjoy cooking, guys. Check out the other videos. Please feel free to subscribe, share with your friends. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, and yeah, catch you soon. Stay safe.